Hi everyone, this is Jason. Today let's talk about how China opened up its economy. So as you know, recently there are a lot of people talking about China as a country that's going to be a leading superpowers, or in fact, it's going to overtake the United States to be the world's largest economy. So how China can play a huge role in world affairs, and what's the future of China, and also what's the future relationships with all its neighboring countries, or even to Southeast Asia. Those are the topics that have been debated or been discussed by many experts nowadays. But in this video, I just want to share with you how China opened up its economy, which can be a role model for many developing countries like Malaysia or even other countries in Asia and in Africa. And do know that in 1978, China was poor and isolated. All people in China were not allowed to do businesses. Okay, you can't own private businesses in China before 1978 because of communism. So there are two major campaigns launched by the government, A Great Leap Forward and also the Cultural Revolutions. Both these campaigns has devastated the economy and also even the societies. In the year 1978, when China chose to open up, the GDP per capita at the time was only around $200, which was equivalent to some of the poorest states in Africa. But now, if you look at what's happening in China and look at what they have done for the past more than 40 years, and you see there are just so many development across China. So that's actually amazing, and it's all inspiring to see how China transformed the whole country within just a short span of time. It was all due to this man called Deng Xiaoping, where he decided to open up China to the outside world. So he says that we have to open up to develop. If not, we will die. So that's why he chose to open up China. And the first thing he did to introduce 4 special economic zones. There are some quotes by Deng Xiaoping like, let some people to get rich first. And poverty is not socialism. To get rich is glorious. And Deng Xiaoping even focused on China to be a country that's following socialism with Chinese characteristics. It's actually not democracy. So all these quotes is actually by Deng Xiaoping to try to open up China. At the early phase of reform, China focused on agriculture and rural areas. The 4 special economic zones, including Shenzhen, where it was a fishing village, is now a mega city with more than 10 million people. So before that, it was used as a zone to attract investors who wanted to invest in all these 4 zones. Shenzhen was one of the best examples for all other zones to follow suit. For the first time, the peasants or the farmers are able to sell surpluses to the market. And this is actually a method to increase the productivity of the peasants at the rural areas in China. Because at the time, China was facing food deficiency and also a great famine, where many people can't even feed themselves at the rural areas. So this is actually a very important steps to try to bring out China by settling the food issue first, or I would say as food security. So by solving the food security issues, then they can focus on economy and political reforms. After that, in the year 1978, Deng Xiaoping was also inspired by Singapore. He went to Singapore to meet Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. So at that time, he was greatly inspired by Mr. Lee Kuan Yew and his team on how he transformed the whole Singapore into a country that is attracting a lot of foreign investors, where it has a place that is safe for investors, for people to work, and also with strong government to maintain social harmony in a multiracial country like Singapore. If you look at Singapore, Singapore has a lot of good policies, housing policies and financial policies. Many incentives are given to investors to invest in Singapore. So Singapore has been located strategically wise, meaning that it became entrepot. It focuses on the shipping industries. They're trying to make Singapore as a major hub, although it's just a very tiny country, but it made up a huge success. So this can be a learning model for Deng Xiaoping and also China, which eventually they sent out so many government officials to Singapore to learn how Singapore govern their country and transform their country within just a few decades. That's actually a great lesson for China. And after that, China continues to push for reforms until 1989, where there was a huge protest going on across China in Beijing because of massive corruptions. And of course, at the time, the Soviet Union was also showing a sign of cracking and disintegrating. Definitely, this incident was also influencing some of the publics in China. Many people asked for a wider political reforms in China. So China responded with a crackdown to restore the order. And then in the year 1992, Deng Xiaoping visited the southern part of China known as Southern Tour and mentions about development is the hard truth. They urge all Chinese people to focus on reform, on how to grow the economy instead of talking about how to reform their politics. So that's what they have been thinking. And after that, when Jiang Zemin, or third president of the People's Republic of China, and he took over and he continued to push for further reforms such as privatizations of some of the state-owned enterprises, where state-owned enterprises now can declare bankruptcy because of business failure. In the past, SOE or state-owned enterprises are highly protected by the states. But now it's no longer the case, where they want to produce some kind of competitions among the domestic players and even with foreign players to produce a high quality local companies and businesses. In the year 2001, it was a historical achievement for China, where after more than 15 years of negotiation, China was admitted to be part of WTO or World Trade Organizations, where some of the strict compliances will be applied on China, like for example, the protection of intellectual property in China. Because in the past, a lot of foreign investors, when they want to invest in China, right, they are quite afraid where there's some stealing of technologies and also violation of IP, so which could shatter the confidence of foreign investors. So with these compliances, actually it boosts foreigner confidence. It boosts confidence of foreign investors to invest in China. And also some other parts of the world, especially the United States, where they can even enjoy cheaper goods from China. And there was a time the United States started to lose jobs, especially the manufacturing job, because many manufacturing jobs were outsourced to China at this time. So I'll talk about this for the next coming videos about WTO, also about the United States, which all these are highly connected. So for the following Chinese leader, they continue to push for reforms and further develop Chinese economy. For the past more than 40 years, China has been very successful in transforming the whole country from a poverty-stricken country into an advanced country with a world status. China was also very successful to eliminate extreme poverty in China by lifting up hundreds of millions of people out of poverty, which could be a huge achievement for China. And this can be a role model for a lot of countries, especially developing countries from Asia, from Africa, to learn how to really lift millions of people out of poverty within just a few decades. So that was a very impressive achievement by the government, how they do that. They provide a better standard of living for the locals and for the people. Of course, China is also facing challenges now, like for example, how to provide enough jobs to the people, and also how to continue sustain the development, and also how to balance up the relationships with many countries in the world, and also with the recent tariff war with the United States. So how China is going to overcome this, and also how China can work together with other developing countries to counter or even to balance up the threat, especially from the United States, to maintain China as an Asia superpower. Okay, so that's all for the video today about how China opened up its economy. So it's a brief and a straightforward video to talk about how China opened up. Of course, if you want more detailed information, you have to check from the internet, where there's just tons of information that you can check it from the internet. So that's all for today. And if you like the content like this, please don't forget to follow me so that I can make more content like this in the future. So I'll see you again on the next video. Bye!